Welcome to the Bookshelf Odyssey podcast. My name is Art, and I'm here with a couple of guests today. I don't know what the collective noun is for writers, but a depression of writers? I don't know.
yeah, yeah, that's it.
Okay. But we have returning guest Jessica Thompson. She's been on quite a few times before. She's back again. Always a joy to have you on, Jessica, so welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. And then a new guest today. Her name is Heidi O'Barr, and she's also has some short stories in a couple of books we're going to be talking about today. We've got Halloween coming up. Depending on when I can get this out, I think I can get it out before then. But really, fall is such a great time to read the scary, spooky stories. And let's see. Well, I know one of them is called Beyond the Woods, a short story collection. And then we've got Bippity Boppity Boot. There we go. There you go. Yeah, I got the right one. Okay.
There we go.
And then I know Jessica's going to talk a little bit about, she's got a collection coming out right now. It is fresh out, hitting the presses. So we're going to find out all about that and what they have coming up and what makes them tick as writers. We're gonna get into the deep, dark secrets of these two. So, welcome. I'm sure writers have a few skeletons in their closets or something. But Heidi, welcome for the first time here. Welcome to the Bookshelf Odyssey.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I always I love getting to know new writers and hearing about their journey and all that. To start off with, have you two been reading anything that you'd love to recommend to our audience? I mean, besides your own books, of course.
Yeah, we've been writing our own stuff. We're putting out a new anthology, so we've been having to read all the other stories in the anthology.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's what I've been reading.
It's true. I did just host a book club. We also have a book club that we're pretty heavily involved in. And I just hosted one for an indie author. Her name is Shannon Castleton, and she wrote her debut novel. It's called Drinker of Ink. It was great. It's amazing.
Great. I love a book club. Our library started doing a silent book club, if you're familiar with those. We get together at a cafe and just read quietly for 45 minutes and then at the last 15, we just talk about what we read. So
Cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Same book or different books?
Different books. Yeah. We just bring whatever you want to read for 45 minutes and then talk about it.
Fun. We should do that.
This last time they did a book exchange, so you could bring some books. I picked up, it's called Killers of a Certain Age. And it was about these 4 women who retired from assassin work. They were they worked for a secret organization, and they would assassinate people who needed to be assassinated. Kind of a black ops type program. And anyway, so they retired from that, and then for some reason the group that they worked with wants them dead. So the book is them trying to figure out why they are trying to be killed. It was a lot of fun. The book was described like the Golden Girls meets James Bond, something like that. And
yeah, I was thinking Golden Girls meets Red. Did you see the movie Red?
Yes, I love Red. Oh my goodness.
I love Red too.
Yeah, that's Bruce Willis.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it stands for Retired Extremely Dangerous. So
I love that.
That was great. Yeah. Yeah, so now we're already off topic. So we're par for the course here. Well, I'm excited to get to know you Heidi, and to get to know about the books and the stories you've written. I think a lot of us are pretty familiar with Jessica by now if you've not been listening to the show for very long. So Heidi, let's learn a little bit about you here as we get started. How did you become a writer? What's your journey been like?
I've been a really avid reader like my whole life. And it wasn't cool to be a reader when I was a kid. Like, I feel like Book Talk and Bookstagram and like all the little corners of social media have really helped readers like kind of create this own space and become like, I don't know, more hip than they ever were. But I have been writing on and off my whole life, but I just didn't feel like it was accessible for a really long time to like, and then I decided to take myself seriously. It took me a long time to believe in myself. And then I started writing for real, and I've published 3 short stories. I won an award for one of my short stories that's in Beyond the Woods at a Storymakers Conference, which is they hold it every year in Utah. And I have completed I've written 3 complete novels. I've queried 2 of them. I got good responses from them, but but that's as far as I've got. No offer of representation or opportunities besides beyond that. And then I got some really good traction on a YA novel that I finished. But again, it hasn't gone, it's not going to publishing yet. I don't have an offer of representation. So I'm working on another one right now, and I'm just in the writing and query trenches, and also working on a couple of short stories. So kind of like a baby, right?
Yeah. Well, it's great. Everyone has their step in the journey, and it sounds like you're already off to a good start. I mean, you got some stories out and an award-winning one now. You can, that's bragging rights right there.
Yeah.
Very exciting. I totally forgot that because I compartmentalize a lot, and sometimes, and I've published a cupcake recipe book. I'm
okay.
I can hold that one too.
Oh, that would be really helpful. I don't have it. It's so me and my husband published, we like designed, took all the pictures and did the recipe development. That's it. The Cupcake Company Baker's Manual. It's a cupcake recipe memoir book. It's like we had a small business while my husband was in graduate school, and started to pick up some significant traction, and we kind of had to make the decision between building a brick and mortar or like turning it into intellectual property. And with my husband's job and his opportunity, and we were going to be moving. So I was like, well, we're not going to stay in the area that we've built up all this like community and all these customers. So let's turn it into a book. And so we took our small business and we turned it into a book, and it's done really well. It hit all the projections that we wanted it to. There's a couple of award-winning recipes in there.
Wow.
And that was really exciting. So sorry, I tend to compartmentalize like.
Well, that's fine.
And that was the first book that I'd ever actually completed. And then it made me feel like after I did that, I was like, oh, maybe I can write the fictional novel that I've always wanted to write. If I could do this, I could do that. So I was kind of completing that book that made me feel like it was possible to kind of like dream bigger as a writer. And so that's what I do right now.
Right. Well,
I forgot to mention the first book.
Well, the big important question then is, what is your favorite cupcake?
Out of that one. Okay, so my favorite it's called Jupiter Sunrise, and it is an orange cream, like vanilla based cupcake with white chocolate chips in it, and then it has this like walnut honey layer. That's my favorite one, yeah. And then cream cheese frosting. I love it, but the 2 cakes that sell the most from graduate school in northern Idaho, they're chocolate chip cookie dough cupcake and our raspberry chocolate truffle cupcakes. Those are
my favorite.
Those are our big ones.
Oh man, now I'm getting hungry. I'm not even kidding. My stomach just growled. Okay.
And I'm getting some awards for the raspberry chocolate truffle and the chocolate chip cookie dough cupcake.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. I love baking like desserts and stuff. I don't do it as often as people want, but oh, that looks good. That looks so good. Raspberry chocolate truffle. Excellent. Now, in the collection Beyond the Woods, what story did you write again there? I know I read it. I think it was last year.
I wrote there's a story called Unlucky. It's the first story in the book. And then I wrote another short story. I can't remember the title. Let me look.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Alone. It's
Okay.
like it's a hiking story set in Alaska,
Mm-hmm.
and they're both set in Alaska. I was born and raised in Alaska, and the unlucky story is about a girl who's a runner, and she has to check on her grandpa who's in the woods, and then she finds this paranormal creature, and it's really exciting.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one. Yeah. See, Jessica, you want to tell us a little bit? I believe you have a story in Beyond the Woods as well, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
kind of tell us where you're at with the new collection you've got too.
Okay. Yeah, Beyond the Woods. I wrote 2 stories for that one. I was really compelled by the similarities between Frosty the Snowman and Frankenstein.
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't sound like it would work, but I love it. It's kind of a murderous snowman, but it uses the language of the original like 1800s Frankenstein. So it's like, nay, and oh, vile wretch,
Yeah.
They said that like 50 times in the book.
Uh-huh.
So I like that one because of the language. It's so funny. And then there's also little phrases from the song Frosty the Snowman.
Right.
So he's running after our main character, and it's like thumpity thump thump. I'm laughing at my own jokes.
I know, I was going to say, you're cracking yourself up here.
Great.
And then the other one was, I really like Sherlock Holmes as a mystery writer. So my favorite Sherlock Holmes is Hound of the Baskervilles. So I did Chupacabra of the Baskervilles. And it's basically they're modern investigative YouTubers. And they go research potential monsters.
Yeah.
I really like that one too, but there's not as much it's not as funny, I guess.
Right. No, yeah, both great stories.
Thanks.
Being that I love Christmas a lot, I really liked your Frosty one. That was
Oh, good.
that was great. All right, but Jessica, you have a new collection coming out. You and and a group of writers. It's coming out October 12th, so this should definitely be there. A Graveyard of Secrets.
A Graveyard of Secrets.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Aconite Cafe or Cozy Mystery Tribe anthology. So that's really fun because it's a bunch of cozy mystery short stories. So mine is Violet and Jake, so it ties into my other books.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when they first meet, when he first meets her parents at a funeral. So it's in a graveyard and there's secrets.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
There we are. But yeah, it's available now. It's there's a whole series of those that you and other writers have put together under different topics and things. That are really a lot of fun to read.
Yeah, so there's even another Halloween one that was a couple years ago here. It's A Haunting of Revenge. So that was the first one I was in.
Oh, look at that continuity in the cover.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
So their series, you can tell when they're always a something of something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the covers are so cute. So yeah, cozy mystery anthologies. A couple Halloween ones now.
Now, are these? Do you guys self-publish those, or are they through a company?
And we self-published our writing group ones, but the one that comes out, the Cozy Mystery Tribe ones, I think they make them through KDP, but I'm not doing it. I just give them a story and they work their magic.
All
but
right.
yeah, these like Beyond the Woods, we self-published this one. Kind of an exercise, so we all learned a lot.
Yeah. Well, I love the covers of those books.
Thank you. We had an artist. Should we talk about the artist? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's Brooklyn No. And she's great. She's amazing. You can find her on Instagram, and she just actually finished. She did a whole series of like like face cards, but she did them with Lord of the Ring characters, and it's epic.
Cool.
I'm a really big fan of her artwork, and she's just great. I don't know if you can really see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does great book covers. There's lots of hidden details,
Yeah.
especially in this one. All the shadows are spooky monsters.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's neat. I'll have to link her Instagram page or something in the show notes. I'm a sucker for a good book cover, so that's one that really stuck out to me. Yeah, yeah.
Great.
And then let's see, maybe Halloween adjacent here. Your Bippity Boppity boots. I think we've talked about that one before. I can't remember, but those are basically retellings of fairy tales, right?
So they're fairy tale retellings set in tied to the Southwest. So it's like Cinderella at a rodeo, or mine is Annie Oakley meets Rumpelstiltskin. Things like that. They're really fun.
I don't think I read that one yet. It's on my to be read list, I'm sure. But.
Thanks.
And then let's see, Jessica, your catering books have started going into audio now, as well, which I've enjoyed. Yeah.
So I don't have the Valentine's one to show you because I sold out at an event.
Well, that's a good problem.
Yeah, it's a good thing. But Shoot, Shovel, and Shut Up, and so this one's my standalone. Shoot, Shovel, and Shut Up. And yeah, the first one of my Caterer's Guide to Crime series, those are now in audiobook on Audible.
Heidi, going back to you here, what have been some challenges and joys that you've come across as you've become a writer?
Well, I feel like just finding uninterrupted time is the biggest challenge for me. And I've kind of had to. I have a very large family, so I've kind of experimented. I like long uninterrupted. I like hours of uninterrupted time, but I've had to kind of adjust to finding those short snippets of time where I can just get something done. So I have just this last year implemented a pretty significant writing routine. I wake up every morning at like 5, sometimes 4:30. And then I get an hour to an hour and a half in, and then I start my routine with my family. And sometimes it's the word count that I can accomplish in that time is really depressing.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like really joyful. And overall, like I also keep track of like my word count. I don't know if you can ever get away with keeping track of your word count as a writer. Like there's all these conversations about how to emotionally organize that. And that's fun to parse through. I don't know, but word count is pretty important to me, and I keep track of it. It is motivating, and I like to see where I was and where I have been, type thing. And so, I've definitely moved faster this year than I have the year before that, because we schedule also with our writing group. We schedule a lot of writing retreats, and we do things like day trips, or like we do like a writing retreat that's like at the library, at the different libraries and at people's houses, and that works really well. We've also done like going away writing trips. That's really well. Anyway, so obviously, like I think a lot about word count because that's like all I'm talking about. Anyways, but I guess some of the joy. So that I guess that's the biggest challenge for me. Like I just am constantly thinking about that. And then the biggest joy is that I just love it. I love reading, writing, all of the habits associated with book culture. I love bookstores. I love libraries. I love writing retreats. I love writing conferences. I love like the publishing side of it. I love the cover design. Like I love all aspects of it. And so to me, it's a really meaningful pastime, hobby, profession, however you want to refer to it. Like this is my ride or die. I'm not stopping. I love it.
I love hearing those, how some authors, they're just so involved in all the steps and they love it. The everything from editing to book design. And I've had a couple where, they said they've self-published and they realized I just love doing all of it, you know. So they really pursued that. So you're trying to find those little gem, you know, moments in time where you can tune out life and tune out life and just kind of work on your writing. Those I know can be really um, precious moments, you know, to
Yeah.
find time away. Yeah, yeah, and that's where I know Jessica. We've talked about having that writing group to have, you know, mutual help and support and help each other. You know, hey, let's take a day away or let's take some time away to get together and write.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm sure you get lots of work done doing
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So it's a way to make like dedicated time sometimes, and it's motivation and accountability. Yeah.
hmm
I'm a big proponent of writing groups.
So Jessica, what is your writing process like?
Hmm.
Chaotic or?
Yep. There it is.
I had a feeling.
I would say feast or famine.
Uh-huh.
So I'll like I'm about to start writing and basically only writing for like 3 months. So November 1st, I'm gonna hit that word count goal hard. And I'll probably do a lot less like marketing and editing and all the other stuff. Because
Yeah.
I'll have book time every day, but it's not always words on the page writing time.
And this is something, Heidi, you had mentioned earlier. I'm kind of jumping from topic to topic here. Sorry, but
Fine.
yeah, you had mentioned when you were younger, you read a lot. What kind of books did you read a lot of as a kid? And Jessica, if you want to follow up with that too.
Well, I love fantasy.
hmm
Love fantasy, sci-fi. I've done a little bit of thriller. Um, narrative non I do love narrative nonfiction, though it's hard to find narrative nonfiction, I think.
hmm
Um, historical romance, historical fiction, romance. I've read it all.
Wow. So the libraries loved seeing you coming, huh?
I spent a lot of time in the library. Actually, it
Yeah.
was really interesting. I don't know what grade I was in. But I was like in first, and maybe this is where it started. But one of my teachers was like, I took a test and I like my reading was not quite where they wanted it to be. So they
hmm
put me in this special class to like catch up my reading, but which was great. And then I think my mom just wanted to support like that. And so she started taking us to the library more than she ever had before. Like we were going like 3 times a week and it was beautiful. And I was like, okay. I think that really helped me just spread my wings and fly. And ever since then, I am I'm a pretty fast reader. I read like I have a hard time keeping track of how many books I keep a year. Like I'm not sure why that metric is important, but every once in a while I'm motivated by it. But I
hmm
usually count up until I get to 100 and then I lose interest because I'm like, I don't know, I've just read 100. That's a lot of books.
mm
But then sometimes when you see the cool, like, or the cute little book talk things, or this is how many vampire books I've read this year, and this is how many historical books, I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun. Like, just to kind of know yourself.
hmm
But I haven't quite gotten all the way on board with that. Because there's so many other things that I want to do or have to do or can't not do. So I just get shoved to the bottom. But yeah, I usually read more than 100 a year.
mm
And I've been doing that since I was like 14, 13, 8. Probably not when I was 8. I probably did more than that because I was short, but
Right.
Oh,
it
yeah.
goes up fast.
Yeah. 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 No, I don't know if it's like my brain likes to have some things really organized, but I keep very close track of what I've
Yeah.
read. And so I can tell you how many I've read, at least in the past like 20 years or so.
See,
And what's that?
I love that. I think that's such compelling like data that I'm like, oh, tell me
Yeah.
about what books have you read in the last 20 years?
Yeah. Yeah. And I do a lot of audiobooks too, so I get through a lot if I'm, if I'm walking the dog or yard work or whatever, I drive around a lot, and so I get through a lot of audiobooks. But yeah, it's I mean, I went to the library as a kid, and I don't know if they've ever come out. It was,
Good place to be.
it is, yeah, yeah, definitely. But Jessica, how about you? What kind of a reader were you as a kid, or how did
I
you?
think it's so interesting to me that Heidi, you weren't a reader when you were little. I can't picture that.
I know. Well, I was a reader, but I was like, they wanted me to be a better reader. I wasn't quite hitting whatever testing that I
Mm.
was doing. They were like, oh no, poor Heidi. And so then my mom was like, oh no, poor Heidi, panic. And then the library all the time. And I already liked the library and I already was a reader. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I was reading the stuff that the school made us read, and I did not like those. So I don't think I was reading a lot on my own. So I wasn't really a reader by choice until probably after college, even because the like important books that they want you to read in high school, ugh, can't handle those. I hate those. And then in college, it's all textbooks. And I was horticulture, so it was all like art and science textbooks. I don't think
Yeah.
I read for fun in college.
Mm.
Anyway, so I read more now than I ever did as a kid, but the ones I remember liking as a kid, they were mysteries. So it was like Locked in Time, I think was my first favorite book. And I don't remember who wrote it, but it's on my Instagram every once in a while when there's a prompt that's like, what was your favorite book as a kid? Because it's the only one I remember like, whoa, I really like this. So Locked in Time, and it was a mystery. And then the answer at the end was that some people were locked in time. So it was right there in the title.
I Lois Duncan. Does that ring a bell?
Oh, who was it?
Lois Duncan, Locked in
Yeah,
Time.
that sounds right. Yeah.
Okay.
So there was one, I guess it's had lots of different covers, but the one I
Yeah.
remember as a kid
I was
is like the girl. Oh, okay. I remember a different one where it was like a very 80s looking girl going. And it was so good. And it was mysterious, but not like gory.
Yeah.
And it was clean. So that's what I write now. Mysterious and clean.
It had a profound impact on you then. One of
Yeah,
those
I guess so.
core memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I read I read a lot of Hardy Boys, and got into mysteries that way. And then as a young adult, like 12, 13, so I don't know, young adult, preteen, I guess. Um, they had these collections like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, then short story collections. And I wanted something, with more meat on it than Hardy Boys had. And I found those at the library, and I'm like, oh, this is great. So I came across a lot of classic short stories. I think that's how I first came across Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Yeah, really fun. And as I've said before, I mean, the library loved seeing me coming. I was like, oh, great, you're here. Get the checkouts ready here.
Yeah.
I think I often had them asking, do you want a bag to carry all that with, and I finally just got my own.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, have you passed on the love of reading and writing to your kids at all, or, yeah, Jessica or Heidi or
Oh, me? Yeah.
either one?
Yeah, my kids are readers.
Yep.
A mandatory book reading every day that they want to get on a screen. They have to read a book before they get on a screen.
They're great.
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids have all been readers. I have some my oldest son, or my second oldest son, he loves nonfiction, which I love
Good.
fiction, and so he's always like I've kind of had to stretch myself for looking for like historical, like there's this whole series called I Survived, and they're graphic novels of like real historical events, and those are just phenomenal. They're
so cool.
Yeah, they're really cool. Anyway, so he's like loves those. Yeah, all my kids have gotten to the point where they're readers, and we spend a lot of time at the library.
Good.
More in the summer. We kind of have a little seasonal. It's been more time in the library in the summer.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, if you're down south, it's been too hot to to spend time anywhere else, I guess.
Still.
Still. Yeah. Yeah, I have a couple friends that live in Texas and a couple others that live in Arizona, and I'll complain once in a while here in Iowa. It'll get to 90 degrees and humid. It's just the humidity I hate, but they're like, I don't want to hear it. It's 113 here today. Just be quiet.
Yeah. Well, get this.
Right.
Like, it's not a competition.
Right. It's like, I don't know. It's hot. I don't like it.
Just let me complain.
That's right. I just need to complain. Come on. Yeah. Well, I love, I just love passing on the joy of reading, to my kids, to others. And I think that's part of why I do this podcast is, I want to encourage people to read and to find some good books to read. Sounds like you both have some great stories out and some ones coming up. Let's see, Heidi, what are you hoping to see in the future here for your writing? If you have anything coming out soon, or
mean, right now I am finishing out my first draft of a Otherworld fantasy novel, and I'm hoping to be done with that in NaNoWriMo, but I'm giving myself a stretch goal. Like if I don't get as far as I want to December, and then I want to go through 2 edits, and then query in the spring is my tentative goal, and we'll just see how that goes.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And then the short stories we're working on.
What was that?
And then we have an anthology we're working on right now. It's a sea mythos anthology. So all the short stories have to incorporate some aspect of like the ocean. And so we're going to be publishing that on Kindle Vella next summer. Okay. And then on KDP next, like late summer or fall.
Yeah.
I love that idea of those collections around the theme like that. It's really interesting. I'll read a short story collection and they'll have one that's like, oh, that's really interesting, but then none of the others are quite in that same vein. So it's when you're really in the mood for something, it's nice to have that collection all in a theme.
Yeah, which was so fun, or like kind of like, because our first anthology, we had some beta readers that were like, they had really strong feelings about how the reader expectations really played into what they expected to read in short stories. And we had to completely reorganize the way that we put together our short stories based on, you'd think you'd know that as a reader, but we didn't figure it out until our beta readers were like, hey, I read this like spooky story, or like it's kind of like a spooky ghost story set during an Easter holiday, and then right after that I read this other story that was a completely different thing, and that really weirded me out. So we had to like kind of like, and you can see it in the beginning of our story, like there's titles for each section, because the whole premise of our anthology was their campfire stories, and campfire stories actually have a pretty wide tradition. Like there's true stories, there's like completely fictional stories, there's family history stories, and so that are true. And so we kind of organized each section like kind of based on what flavor of campfire story it was.
Yeah, it was like monsters, beasts, ghosts, true stories, and like mystical. So yeah.
Nice.
Eclectic.
Yeah.
Well, organizing is, I guess that can be helpful. Yeah, but I don't know. You expect a variety, I guess, in a short story collection.
Can't avoid it.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's great. And then, Jessica, it seems like you always have something new coming up. What do you have coming out here soon that you're excited about?
So yeah, by the time this will come out, my latest Graveyard of Secrets, that anthology will be out, making me up to 4 Halloween books. I'm not sure how that even happened. I I'm not like a Halloween head like some people. But yeah, so that makes Beyond the Woods, and then there was a Santa Cruz Ghost Stories one. So they're all set in Santa Cruz. And then there's the Graveyard of Secrets, which is coming out soon. And then one that came out a couple years ago was A Haunting of Revenge. Oh, I did talk about that one. 4. Dang.
You're going to be the scream queen here or something.
Apparently. It wasn't the goal, but sure, I'll take that.
Well, you know, Halloween and spooky and murder, it just kind of all goes together, I guess. So
yeah. And I guess there's a new Christmas anthology that'll come out, you know, in December. But that one's a cookie of something. It's another Cozy Mystery Tribe anthology. So if you like cozy mysteries, there's another Christmas one coming.
All right. I'll have to keep an eye out for that one. Yeah.
I think so.
All right. Well, thank you both for jumping on today. You want to promote any social media where people can find you or website you have?
Sure. I'm most active on Instagram. I'm a Novel Heidi. At Novel Heidi, and that's where you can find me. I also have mostly where I'm active. I do a lot of like book reviews and recommendations and bookish humor, and then occasionally I do updates on my writing, and that's where I'm at.
All right. Then
Messy Manuscript. We also have an Instagram where handle for our writing group called Messy Manuscript. Was it just
I think it's just Messy Manuscript.
Okay, yeah. And then we also have a website for our writers group, and you can come take a look at our books and where to find them and what's coming up. Mm-hmm. So, and that is www.messymanuscript@godaddy.com.
It's right? Messy. The website's the full deal, Messy Manuscript Society. But then, it's the free GoDaddy site. So if you just Google Messy Manuscript Society, it shows up.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also a link on the Instagram handle.
Yeah.
You'll give us a follow.
All right. Yeah. You bet. Now, Jessica, I know I follow you on Instagram, and I love your your posts. They're hilarious. So
thank you.
Tell where are you at there?
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Jessica TH Author. It doubles as the and as Thompson. So Jessica TH Author. Oh yeah, on Instagram I had to make it a 2 at the end because there were problems. Anyway, Jessica TH Author 2, and then my website is jessicathompsonauthor.com.
All right, great places to hang out online.
Oh, and there you can sign up for my newsletter where I give out stories and excerpts, and you get a free story for signing up. Oh, and recipes.
Yeah, come for the recipes. I mean, it's always good. Yeah. Well, I enjoyed this conversation. I love talking about reading habits as a kid. It just everyone, turn off YouTube now that you're done watching this interview and go and read a book.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you both so much. We'll have you on again sometime, I'm sure. Take care, both of you, and best of luck, Heidi. Hope to see a lot of books coming from you soon.
Me too.
Thanks, Art.
Yep. Thanks for coming on.